top story: students are back in class today at Carver High School in Winston-Salem. This just days after a student was shot in the face on campus. The victim, a 15-year-old football player, has been released from the hospital. His alleged attacker, an 18-year-old student, remains in jail. Winston-Salem Police Chief Barry Roundtree.
We will have increased presence, not only here at Carver, but at all our high schools throughout the city that we are responsible for.
The school's principal said the shooting stemmed from a long-running dispute between two students. It was the second gun incident on that campus this year. The State Court of Appeals ordering a new trial for a Cary man convicted of strangling his wife 5 years ago.
Brad Cooper had been sentenced to life in prison after his conviction in 2011. The appellate court ruled the trial judge made a mistake in limiting the testimony of an expert on a Google Maps search of the site where his wife's body was found. The court says the files recovered from Cooper's laptop computer were perhaps the most important pieces of evidence in the trial. I'm Pamela Furr.
The president is making the rounds, asking Congress for authorization to order a military strike on Syria.
President Obama saying he's confident Congress will vote in favor of U.S. military action in Syria. And he says the U.S. has a broader plan to help the rebels defeat Bashar al-Assad's forces. During a meeting with congressional leaders at the White House, he called for a prompt vote on Capitol Hill. He reiterated that the U.S. plan will be limited in scope.
It's Rich Johnson reporting. The North Carolina General Assembly returns to work today to consider overrides to a pair of vetoes by Governor McCrory.
The two bills in question passed both chambers by a comfortable majority. One involves drug testing for some welfare applicants. The other broadens exemptions to the E-Verify system to check workers' legal status. McCrory says the bills are bad, but can be fixed next spring. Republican legislators disagree and say they have the votes needed to override the governor. I'm Kyle Wilson.
And the state NAACP will be on hand to deliver legislative report cards to lawmakers. They've also got a full day of protests planned on teacher pay, voting rights, and other issues. The Muscular Dystrophy Association has raised about $1 million more than last year, with more than $59 million in contributions hauled in over the Labor Day weekend at their 48th annual telethon. Lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender rights activists say they've been invited to meet with President Obama on the sidelines of this week's G20 summit in Russia. The Obama administration has voiced concern over a law recently passed by Russia's parliament that targets what they're calling homosexual propaganda. A High Point middle school teacher shot last week during a domestic dispute outside her Greensboro apartment remains hospitalized in critical condition today. Cops say she was gunned down by her husband. He's believed to have taken his own life in a nearby parking lot. A former NBA star is going back to North Korea to visit a dictator he calls a friend.
Dennis Rodman flew to North Korea saying he plans to spend time with the nation's leader and his family, and will maybe set up, he says, something like a new basketball league in North Korea.
It's not a bad thing to go to North Korea and have a good time. Meet the people.
The visit comes less than a week after North Korea snubbed a U.S. government envoy, withdrawing his invitation at the 11th hour. Rodman said he's no diplomat, but he wouldn't comment on whether he would ask for the release of American Christian Kenneth Bay, sentenced there to hard labor.
It's Alistair Wanklin. Search crews have found the body of a man who went missing over the weekend on Lake Norman. The 32-year-old jumped out of a boat Saturday and never surfaced. His remains were recovered late last night. Another man who fell from a party boat there on Sunday is still missing. A woman in Fayetteville allegedly threatened police officers yesterday with a pair of scissors and a hammer, and then stole a police cruiser. She ultimately crashed into several other cars. Cops then took her into custody. As you might imagine, several charges are pending. U.S. home prices jumped more than 12% in July from a year earlier. That's in every state but Delaware experiencing a price increase. Nevada had a really big jump, 27%. Next news coming up in 30 minutes, but you can get news, weather, and traffic anytime at 1061fmtalk.com.
Wish you bought gold 50% lower? Now is the time. Gold and silver retraced almost 50%. Buy when it's low. Remember, nothing has changed. Government creates money out of thin air. Protect your savings. Skip the high retail commissions. Request a guide, free. Don't overpay. Call 800-257-GOLD. 800-257-GOLD. Visit goldworth.com.
Hey, it's Erin Andrews, and I made the switch to SK Energy Shots. Why? Because trying to cover every sport in America requires hard work and high energy. So when I need that energy boost to be my best, I drink SK Energy Shots. SK is a better source of energy, made for people who care about what goes into their bodies. They're made with antioxidants and vitamins with none of the bad stuff.
SK Energy Shots, voted #1 in energy. Make the switch to a better
and Kangaroo Express.
Guys, are you guilty of avoiding the doctor? Can you even remember the last time you even went? Perhaps it's time you visited with the licensed physicians at Vitality and start putting your health first. Vitality is Raleigh's only premier healthcare center, catering to men only and specializing in low T, weight loss, erectile dysfunction treatment, and concierge healthcare. Finally, a medical office specializing in your wellness. So if you've been putting off an annual exam, or it's just time to have a sensitive conversation with a male doctor who understands you, visit vitalitymen.com and book your appointment today.
This hour of the Rush Limbaugh Show is brought to you by the Aluminum Company of North Carolina.
My friends, great to have you back. Great to be back. Rush Limbaugh and another hour of broadcast excellence. Smack dab in the middle here, the fastest 3 hours in media. Great to have you here. The telephone number is 800-282-2882. The email address lrushbo@eibnet.com. So we've got that article I referenced in the first hour, linked at rushlimbaugh.com, and we shut down the poor guy's website, which is... Oh, and speaking of that, did you see? You may not have seen this. Didn't take long. Ted Cruz was here. Had something like 600,000 signatures after weeks on their website to defund Obamacare. So he shows up on their show, says they want to get to 1 million, and then a couple of days they did. They surpassed, thanks to you guys out there. So they've zoomed past 1 million signatures on the don'tfundit.com website. Don'tfundobamacare.com website. Greetings. Anyway, here's the phone number, and we'll get to your calls here in a jiffy, 800-282-2882. The email address, lrushbo@eibnet.com. I would not reject the possibility here that Bashar Assad's being framed. And by the way, I've got no brief for the guy. He's not a friend of mine, and I'm not particularly interested in this guy maintaining power or what have you. But I'll tell you, it is clear to me what our foreign policy is in the Middle East. We are just like Jimmy Carter. We got rid of the Shah. He was a dictator, but he was a stabilizing dictator. And by the way, some of you might, well, good. What do you mean we're supporting dictators and all that? The world's a dangerous place. But don't forget this. The left thinks the world is a dangerous place if the U.S. is a lone superpower. Don't forget Madeleine Albright, former Secretary of State for Clinton. She's out there talking about it's great when the Soviet Union was a superpower because it kept us in check. The idea that we're the good guys is not something that these people believe. Leftists, American leftists, they think we're the problem in the world. So they do not trust the United States as a lone superpower. They like a competing superpower, keep us in check. And we, on the other hand, in order for stability, to maintain our interests, like one of our interests in the Middle East, obviously, free flow of oil at market prices. All right? That's our interest, not the people of the Middle East. It's not our responsibility. Iraq, Bush policy tried to change that, but our number one interest in the Middle East is oil, free flow, market prices. So if stable dictators are the best way to maintain a free flow of oil at market prices, that's what we'll do until the left gets in charge. And they can start talking about they don't like dictators, which is a crock. They love them. But they do not think that a policy of free flow of oil at market prices is valid. To them, that's immoral and unjust. Our foreign policy ought to be based on human rights and civil rights and all that nefarious stuff. So they want to come along. They want to get rid of the stabilizing dictators, I'm using this term loosely, and instead ostensibly put people in power that are the results of a democratic process. I give you Egypt as an example. Tahrir Square. They hated Mubarak, despised Mubarak because civil rights violations, human rights violations. Mubarak was good for us. They hated it. They loved the Muslim Brotherhood movement because ostensibly they were elected, although they weren't. So in this, what was happening in the Middle East is that just like Jimmy Carter before him and just like other leftist dingbat presidents before him, Obama is changing the definition of U.S. vital national interest and got nothing to do with oil. Human rights and civil rights. And I don't mean to